Welcome to Rock You Like a Hurricane Runner. We're back. You're with Simon and Owen.
Hello.
Are you still jet lagged?
No, that's gone. Maybe last week I think it was. I was super sick for like the entire weekend that we got back. And I just didn't sleep.
Yep.
And then like on the Tuesday of last week, I just slept for like 14 hours. I'm like, sick? And now it's all good.
Catching up from WrestleMania.
Yeah, so well, I think I slept about like maybe 5 hours that entire trip.
Oh man, it was insane, but we're back. Thanks to everyone who checked out those episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. It went wild. It went off, it looks like it. And all our socials have been going nuts. We've been pumping out so much content.
Yeah, to anyone who's new to the show, thanks for jumping on board. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all those things. Every show is different. That's the thing
we've been
realizing.
Yeah, that's all right. It keeps me on our toes. Jesus, keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, keep it exciting. So on this show, we're going to take a look at Stone Cold Metal a little later on. But before that, I guess one of the biggest shows in Australian wrestling history happened.
Yeah.
All around the country, pretty much.
Yeah, in 3 different states. Yeah.
Progress Wrestling came over from the UK. They brought some of their biggest stars and they put on shows.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough to go to the Friday and Saturday shows. You were working at the Friday and Saturday shows.
Yes, I
here
was.
In Melbourne.
My usual photography gig at MCW.
So let's start with Progress X MCW.
Not Verse X. It was in a collaboration. So there was no winners here.
What did you think of the show?
It was an incredible experience. Something I didn't think had happened for a while, I guess, but it was absolutely awesome to be a part of. Got to chat to Jim Smallman a lot because he's just an absolute fucking legend. We chatted about being straight edge and Minor Threat and all these awesome metal bands. He likes our show's pun, much like Becky Lynch does. So he says he's interested in coming on the show. So
future guests.
We need to chase that one up.
We absolutely will.
No, it was awesome. I think everyone at MCW should be proud of themselves. And yeah, obviously I'm biased because it's where I work. But like everyone did such an incredible job, from the backstage to the techs to the ring crew to all the wrestlers that worked on the show. Yeah, just incredible. Some of the best matches I've ever seen on that show.
Yeah, seriously. If you live in the UK and you're not going to Progress shows when you can, and you're lucky enough to have them in that country.
What are you doing?
Exactly, because I would be there all the time. And if you lived in Australia and you miss these shows, you missed out on something special. Hopefully they come back and something similar happens.
Yeah, but obviously they'll be up on MCW Encore and also Progress on Demand within the coming weeks, like super soon. Their turnaround's insane, so it'll be up soon. I'm assuming. The amazing thing is, out of the 6 people that Progress brought down, and not every... And MCW were again, I'm biased as fuck. MCW were the only promotion to have this stat. 5 of the 6 people on the Progress roster that wrestled on those shows had already wrestled at MCW.
That's
Tony Storm,
huge.
Trent Seven, Jimmy Havoc, Travis Banks all wrestled at MCW. Pete Dunne was the only one who hadn't to that point.
And then what's even crazier, I guess, to casual fans or people who only watch maybe the WWE and NXT, 4 of those competitors are affiliated with the WWE in some way.
Absolutely.
Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, of course, they all appear on NXT. Pete Dunne is the WWE UK champ.
Yep.
Tony Storm was in the Mae Young Classic.
And also Jimmy Havoc and Travis Banks have wrestled at WrestleMania Access.
And that's the other thing. If we put that on top of it, then they've all been part of that.
Exactly.
Progress Wrestling is basically becoming an affiliate of the WWE. They had a massive presence at Access.
Trav defended his Progress title against No Way Jose on the Sunday.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's just what as everyone says at the moment, 2018 is just fucking stupid when it comes to professional wrestling.
It is a very strange time.
It's so weird.
The fact that we were in New Orleans going to WWE Access and we saw a bunch of these guys.
But also we bumped into Tony Storm and Glenn Joseph from Progress and we chatted to them and they were all of us are friends anyway, but they were super excited to come to Australia. Obviously Tony wanted to come back home, but Glenn and that were just so excited to finally get to Australia and this was finally happening. So it was amazing. My favourite match of that night was one that I was so excited for. Pete Dunne versus Mike Burr. Now Mike Burr is one of my favourite people at MCW because he's a very good friend of mine. But it was kind of like the old guard versus the new wave of wrestling, and it was just it was just violent. It was It was a beautiful old school match.
It was old school. It was physical. It was a lot of striking. They beat the shit out of each other.
Oh, absolutely beat the crap out of each other.
It's almost like, for people who wouldn't know, if you know how Pete Dunne wrestles, Mike Burr was a perfect complement, very similar in the way they were hitting each other.
But 12 years older in age.
Older, less hair on his head, more hair on his face.
Yep. But the same amount of grit and determination.
Oh, it was crazy. And then I love the contrast of that match to Tyler Bate versus Dowie James, who, again, they're similar to each other, but opposite to the other guys. It was a really technical, athletic
The opening
match.
6 minutes of chain wrestling was probably my favorite thing I've seen on a show for a while.
Oh, man.
And the thing is, usually, especially with this current state, the current age of wrestling fan, no one likes wrestling anymore, if you know what I mean.
There was one guy.
Everyone likes that flippy bullshit. I'll say bullshit because I'm not a big fan of it. Everyone likes that flippy shit where I'm more of a, I'm old school heavyweight, wrestling and proper striking. Everyone was so into that first 5 minutes of that match. It actually made me really happy.
Except the one idiot who said, "Oh, do a thing." They are doing a thing. You still have to present that what they're doing in the ring is an athletic competition where they're fighting each other to win.
It's more mental strategy when it comes to the chain wrestling.
Exactly. If you say do a thing, then it takes out the element that what you're watching is an actual competition between two guys.
It's people.
They're trying to get an advantage over each other.
I say this a lot of time. Wrestling fans are dumb.
We are wrestling fans, but you're right. Some are super annoying. And that guy's an idiot, whoever said that.
There was some brilliant matches.
Match.
The main event was also just fantastic. If that doesn't get Elliot Sexton some sort of international contract or whatever, I'm not just saying that because, again, he's a really good mate of mine and I've watched him wrestle for the past few years. The way he presented himself in that match was up there with some of the best at the moment.
I texted you after the show and said, tell Elliot Sexton he was amazing, because that was a real main event performance that he put on. All the guys were really good. Travis Banks,
JXT's really lifted.
A hell of a match, but Elliot Sexton in particular, there was one bit where the crowd was chanting something. I forget what they were chanting, but Elliot Sexton had Trav in the corner. He was about to do something, but the crowd continued their chant. So instead of just continuing with his move, he paused and looked around so they would get louder first. And then he hit the guy. Yeah. And I was like, he's obviously he's a master and he,
he's brilliant.
Messes with the crowd better than anyone. But I was like, he's, star power personified. Yeah. And in saying that, over the weekend, we'll get to the Saturday show, but I have decided that Pete Dunne really is someone who lives up to the hype. He's legitimately one of the all-round best performers in wrestling. Well, it's ridiculous how good he is.
We've seen him wrestle 4 times in the space of, 11 days?
Yeah. We saw him wrestle at NXT, at Access, and now twice here.
Yeah, and all 4 times it's like, motherfucker, you can work so well.
He puts on a different match every time, though. And he does so many, the great thing about him, he's not, no offense to anyone else, everyone has a thing that makes him good. With Pete Dunne, it's not about the moves he does.
No.
It's not about his character. It's not about his entrance. It's not about his taunts. It's literally he does everything well. Yeah. He's good at everything.
Just everything.
But then all the little things you notice when you watch him perform live, especially that close, working the crowd, all of his little performance things, I was like, my God, this guy's the best.
I was super lucky because before the show on Saturday, British Strong Style held a 3-hour seminar. And I was in and out of the room all day. And some of his knowledge, for someone as young as he is, because he's a touch older than I am, but his knowledge is just insane. His knowledge of professional wrestling is just incredible.
Yeah.
And it shows in the way he works.
Yeah. That's what it is. He does everything good. And there's a reason that not only is he the WWE UK champ, when we were over in the States, we're bragging or anything like that. When we were at the media day, we were lucky enough to talk to Pete Dunne. He was a
true professional.
So good with everyone, super professional, great answers for everyone. And he was the only UK talent they put out there.
Yeah.
For a reason. He shocked me. That was another impressive thing.
Yeah.
Not just the wrestling stuff, how good he was with the media. Man, this guy's someone you could put out there.
There's no surprise that he runs the incredibly successful promotion as well in Attack Pro Wrestling. So the guy, he just fucking does everything.
What can't he do?
Yeah. But yeah, moving on. Saturday Ballroom Brawl. Again, featured everyone from Progress apart from Travis Banks. And MCW staple event for the year. It's where storylines start, storylines finish, champions are crowned, number one contenders are crowned. It's the full shebang. It's like our WrestleMania. And again, just a huge show. Started off with a bang.
Oh.
Great match to start off with. Some returns with some... There's a lot of returns with some like old faces that a lot of people may not know.
This was one of those cool shows that had a bit of everything, though.
Yeah.
Because he had like the athletic comedy match with Mustache Mountain and the Brat Pack.
Yep.
He had the crazy hardcore match with Jimmy Havoc and Funtime Phil.
Holy chips.
Friend of the show, Funtime Phil.
He's an absolute champ, isn't he?
Great performance, that match.
Yeah.
Was insane. And Jimmy Havoc, having watched him wrestle 2 nights in a row, the way he balances hardcore wrestling and like
because he did a hardcore match
on
he did a hardcore match on Friday and it was completely different than the one he did Saturday.
Yeah, one with Alan Payne, one with Funtime Phil, but he balances entertainment and hardcore so well. So shout out to Jimmy Havoc as well.
Absolute king.
Funtime Phil is a trooper for taking some of the things he did.
Yeah, that finish on the barbed wire board was quite impressive.
That was no joke. Yeah,
a match that I must say, and I did tell her this backstage. A lot of people may not have seen Avery wrestle ever because she's mainly used recently as a valet. And she hasn't. The last time she wrestled at MCW was in November, and before that was in August, and before that was in like March. So she's definitely been used as a manager for the Brat Pack. But her match against Toni Storm, I'm incredibly proud of her because the way she wrestled in that. Toni Storm is one of the best, not just female wrestlers, just one of the best wrestlers in the world at the moment, and Avery held up with her 110%.
Oh, she took a beating.
And just like hanging with her as well. That coast to coast she did off the fucking top rope was just wicked.
Was fantastic. I was on that side, so I saw her coming. It was great.
I was underneath it. It was fucking sick. But
Can I just say, one of the fun things about the way Toni Storm wrestles is like the contrast of the way she wrestles compared to how she looks and with the image and the clothes and everything.
Yeah. Also, quick side note, did you notice her ring gear on Friday night?
No, not...
You didn't really take note of it?
No.
It was Motley Crue inspired.
Ah.
It was inspired by the same album cover Dolph Ziggler was inspired by. I was chatting to her about it. I'm like, I know what that is.
I assume she is a fan of Motley Crue.
100%. And like, yeah, it's no bullshit gimmick.
Coincidence.
No.
Yeah, it's great. I love that that's the image, but not like... I know, like, wrestling is wrestling and now everyone wrestles similar, but she wrestles like a guy.
Yeah.
In the sense that there's none of that, like, she is always intimidating her opponent no matter what. Like, she's always in that position of power, or, like, she doesn't give a fuck because she's tougher than them, and she has that sense of toughness and pulls it off.
Oh, she's just a legend. I just love her. She's the greatest.
And that short pile driver, though, still scares me every
The Strong
time.
Zero.
Oh, my God. I'm always like, ugh.
Named after a very strong alcoholic beverage from Japan.
I always want to drink one, but they're always sold out at, the imported stores. I will be going to Japan and I'll drink one there. I will do that. But yeah, another great match that Pete Dunne put on. This might have been the best match of the weekend. I think it was.
I've been saying it's the best match I've ever seen. And I'm not even... I'm known to be an over-exaggerator, and I will admit that. But I honestly think Slex vs. Pete Dunne was the best match I've seen.
It built properly. It started slow. That same guy said, do something, and he was like in a different spot that second. I was like, where is he?
Motherfucker.
The match built up. Slex hung with Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne hung with Slex. They're both veterans. They're both, world class.
I said this on Twitter. I'm like, if you don't think Slex is the best wrestler in Australia, you're fucking wrong. And look, I get it. Wrestling is subjective, and I know there are some incredible wrestlers in Australia. But every match Slex has had since he returned in November has been legitimately 5 stars.
But you know what's crazy? He's better now than he was two months ago, and he's better 2 months ago than he was when he first came back.
Against Okada.
The matches get better and better because there were like little hiccups here and there of like, oh, he's been off for a while. Like he's slowly getting it back, like these tiny little like barely blemishes. But these past 2 matches...
Yeah.
Slex was bulletproof, and the ladder match with Robbie not that long ago. But these 2 matches especially, Slex is on another level.
Yeah, he's just brilliant. And like to think that he's been wrestling for 15 years, so he's not a spring chicken. But he wrestles better than most of the new talent, and that's not even a knock to the new talent. It just shows how fucking good he is.
Yeah, he really feels like he's on another level. That's that simple. And shout out to the crowd. So Slex is, the business. He wears a suit for people who don't sort of know his presentation.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of guys.
You see guys in the suits?
Wearing the suits. Suits out for the business or whatever the
hashtag was.
Brilliant. I hope it catches on. I like seeing suits at wrestling shows.
Yeah, it did pop me. It was good.
So, let's all support Slex. I think that's kind of cool.
But finishing up, main event of Ballroom Brawl Saturday night was pretty awesome. It was a match that a lot of fans are like, oh, we've seen this so many times before, so why should we see it again? But motherfuckers, you did not expect that, did you?
Dowie James versus Mr. Juicy. This was a huge... this match felt big.
It felt huge. It got a massive build-up.
Yeah. Big story. They've got a long history. There was blood. So much goddamn blood.
That was like Guerrero-level blood.
Yeah.
Honestly... Guerrero, not to gross people out, but I had to wash my arms up. There was so much blood on the canvas that was on my arms at one point.
Oh, God.
It was just so much blood, but interesting finish to that match.
Yeah, so it ended with Mr. Juicy, who has been, the hero and basically one of the faces
for the last 4 years nearly at MCW,
and especially the growth in the past year that MCW and Australian Wrestling's had.
Well, we can all think the Okada thing is very much. We all know the New Japan thing is very much Mr. Juicy. He was the reason it happened, more or less.
One of the guys behind that, or the guy behind that, he's a part of the Bullet Club. He was he competed at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yep.
So for Mr. Juicy to be this, growing icon and then join the dark side seemingly at the end of the match.
Yeah, so
massive turn.
For people who were not there, a very bloodied Dowie James was on his last legs. Ref took a bump. Juicy gets the ring bell and looks like he's going to hit Dowie with it. Nah, I can't do it. Throws the ring bell away. Ref takes another bump, so Ref's completely out at this point. And commentator Sebastian Walker, who 2 years ago had a very strong storyline with Mr. Juicy, in a very very strong heel face storyline. Sebastian Walker walks over to the ring with the Melbourne City Wrestling Heavyweight title and goes, "If you want this, use this."
Is that what he said?
That's what he said to him. Okay. Hits Dowie James over the head. Juicy hits Dowie James over the head with a belt and wins 1, 2, 3. And then walks out of the ring, no music, with Sebastian Walker by his side.
Very nice. It was very nicely done.
Sets up the next few months incredibly well.
Yeah. If you live in Melbourne, you should go to these shows. If you don't live here, keep track of what MCW's doing.
It's online. It's on demand. It's all the videos are on the internet.
These are legitimately some of the best wrestling shows anywhere in the world. Yeah. And the fact that they're bringing in all these guys, if that's what's going to attract you, check it out for that. But trust me, you will be impressed and become a fan of all the Aussie talent too.
Well, I had this little speech planned more or less, and it's not an attack or anything, but obviously we had a lot of people who were new to MCW over the weekend because Progress is a big name.
Of course. We
had over 600 people, but we had 1,400 people over 2 nights at MCW. Our monthly venue in Essendon holds close to 400 people. If we can't sell that out, and this isn't I guess it is a dig at wrestling fans, and I do apologise to people. I get hate anyway, so I don't give a fuck. If you're going to shows to see big names, yeah, that's fine. You get to see your favourite wrestlers, but you are seeing also some of the best wrestlers in the world being Australian wrestlers. If that doesn't make you want to go watch Australian wrestling, be PWA, EPW in Perth, Wrestle Rampage in Adelaide, or MCW in Melbourne, what's the fucking point? You are going, you have seen and you have given standing ovations to some of the best wrestlers in Australia, but you're like, oh, I'm not going to go to the next show because it doesn't have someone big on it. It makes no fucking sense to me.
But it does have big people on it. That's what people are missing. I saw Evie wrestle in the Essendon MCW arena. Literally 2 months later, she was in the Mae Young Classic or whatever it was. Yep. These people this is where they come from.
Tyler Bates' first journey to Australia was at Essendon in January 2016. He was 18 years old.
Before the UK tournament.
Literally a year to the day later, he won the UK title.
Yeah. you don't know where these people are going to end up. Or actually, no, you do know where they're going to end up. They're going to end up in PWG. They're going to end up in Progress. They're going to end up in the WWE, in New Japan.
Yep.
These guys are all on their way, and we've seen it for the past few years. Go and see them at this level because they're just as talented.
And you may not see them next month.
Stage. Yeah, well, that too.
Like,
exactly.
fuck.
Friend of the show, Adam Brooks, was on an MCW show 1 week, and then after
and then we're sharing a room with him in fucking Orlando, in New Orleans, because he's booked by Rev Pro, CZW, and the WrestleCon Super Show in New Orleans because he's that fucking good.
Yeah, so now the international...
And he doesn't know when he's coming back to Australia because he's booked solid by PWG and every major company in Europe.
The international crowd, they're going to become fans of these guys. See them at this level because, man, it's a shitload of fun and it's only going to cost you, a fraction of what it'll cost you to go to WrestleMania.
Exactly. Anyway, that was a longer segment than we'd planned, but
yeah.
It's going to be a long episode, I think, but we need to get back into it. We haven't been in the studio for about 3 weeks now.
And the shows have all been different, the WrestleMania interviews and reviews and whatnot.
Exactly.
Just one final thing on Tyler Bate. I said it in a text message to you. Tyler Bates' moveset is the history of pro wrestling distilled into one tiny tank. From a physical standpoint, nobody is more impressive than Tyler Bates. He's a freak.
He's tiny, but he's ripped. He looks like a strong man from the 30s.
Yeah.
Yet he does all the amazing chain wrestling from the 70s, 80s, and then he does a fucking standing shooting star press.
Like it's a joke.
Like it's a 2-step shooting star press. Like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, he can do
that fucking rebound thing he does off
Kofi Kingston head rebound off the ropes.
Yeah.
Does it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
He can do the dives over the top rope as well. He can do...
Springboard double stop off the top rope.
He hit the spiral tap. I've seen him do that as well. I haven't seen anyone since AJ Styles do that, or maybe Will Ospreay. But the fact that Tyler Bate can literally do every type of thing there is...
He's a freak.
Blows me away.
And he's younger than me. He's 21 years. That's fucking stupid.
He's 10 years younger than me.
Anyway, moving on. Something exciting happened. So we are recording this on the 25th of April. It's a Wednesday night. Something exciting happened today, apparently. I haven't heard it yet.
This is going to be a live reaction for Owen. I've heard snippets of this. So SmackDown went to air. It's something we predicted. We said Shinsuke Nakamura came out with the metal version of his entrance at WrestleMania with Nita Strauss. It was fucking cool.
So cool.
He then turned heel, and we were like, well, they've got to change his music.
And they haven't played music for him in the past few SmackDowns.
No, because he hasn't had matches. He's only done run-in nut shots.
Yes.
And now he has official bad guy music. Let's check it out.
All the cool little staticky plugins.
Now, this is actually the Titantron they played for the entrance too.
Is it actually? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same motive. This is sick.
Good, is it? I love it.
This is so sick.
And the fact that you see the performance on the Titantron makes it even cooler.
That is so cool.
Oh yeah, it's so good. And it's building. It's still epic.
Yeah. Nah, that's cool. I can dig the fuck out of that.
It's so good.
Like, I feel like people will still chant along to it because it's still got the same violin kind of thing.
It's still there enough to follow the
I like
melody.
lyrics. I'd love to know what the lyrics are, like in a translation, because obviously it's Japanese.
Yeah, it's a group called Shadows
of the Sun, yeah.
Man, it's really cool. I do notice in that chorus bit that he was playing, like that bit there, he was saying Ichiban, which means number one in Japanese.
Yep.
They've put that on some of Shinsuke's merch the WWE has over the past couple of years.
Yep.
So it must be a reference to that. But either way, what a cool sort of, obviously we dig it, sort of that new metal type spin they've put on his theme song.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah?
I'd use that as my ringtone.
I said on Twitter, I was like, surely, this isn't going to make anyone boo him.
Oh, fuck
I was
no.
like, this'll make him a heel.
It's so cool.
No way.
They maybe should have changed the entire song, like a completely different song.
Yeah.
But hey, I dig that. As I said, I hadn't heard that. That's really cool.
Man, I
A
can't.
little bit heavier because obviously, like the original version was like more like a techno symphony kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just like straight like beats and strings.
Yeah.
That cool little like new metal kind of like alternative metal thing's fucking cool. I dig it.
Very, very good. And I can't wait till those guys play that live for Shinsuke.
Surely it'll happen. Like SummerSlam maybe.
I hope
pretty
so.
cool.
I hope so.
Anyway, speaking of metal, let's get on to the reason why we're here today. The Stone Cold Metal album. Now, I think most people will know what this album is because it looks like a lot of our fans, like the 90s wrestling fans, which is cool. Stone Cold Metal is a rock compilation album that was released on the 25th of August in 1998 by Mars Entertainment, which is now Spy Records. Mm-hmm. It is produced by Paul Tarnopol with the help of Steve Austin himself. It was the first ever wrestling CD to chart on the Billboard 200. And so remember the lovely WrestleMania album that we reviewed the other week? It outsold that like by heaps as well. So
for anyone who's too young to know, Stone Cold Steve Austin was so famous in the late 90s. They literally put him on anything and it would sell.
Yeah.
There was Stone Cold everything. They put out an album, and this album was legitimately put together by Steve Austin.
Yeah, handpicked by Steve Austin.
There's actually a companion album, Stone Cold Country.
Okay.
Where he picks country songs that he likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but maybe we should just flip the show on our head and we'll do a country.
We'll do that as a special one day. But Stone Cold Metal.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, man. Like when I found out about it, I actually think this could potentially be like literally just on paper, this could potentially be one of the best fucking compilation albums, like metal compilation albums ever.
Look, if Stone Cold is the greatest of all time, he has the greatest metal taste of all time, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing but classics. We're going to go through this album.
Track by track.
Track by track, give you some history. And for people who might not listen to the Steve Austin show or not really know about that side of Steve Austin, he's a legit big metal fan.
Huge metal fan. There's a lot of interviews with him online, like saying what bands he likes and what albums he really digs. So, I think I'll probably mention that throughout this little segment. But let's fucking do it. Let's start. And what better way to start than with one of my favorite songs, one of Simon's favorite songs. And no, we are not starting the episode all over again.
I love it. The namesake
our song
of our show.
It's our song. It is the first song on the Stone Cold Metal album, Rock You Like a Hurricane, by German metal legends Scorpions.
That's
now,
right.
It was the lead single from their 1984 album, Love at First Thing, which was their 9th album. They've been around since the late 60s.
That was that time where you just pump out albums all the time.
But like 84 and like 9 albums, and like people think like Scorpions are around for like the 80s. They've been around for nearly 50 years. That's fucking mental.
Yeah, they're not an 80s band at
No,
all.
and and the funny thing is, I think it was last year or the year before, was their first trip to Australia ever.
Yeah.
And they played one show.
I
it was
missed
in
that.
Melbourne. So did I. I was bummed. But this song peaked at number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 5 on the rock charts.
And it's gone on to become basically
It's
like
been in fucking everything.
It's in everything. It's one of those songs that is like perfect 80s metal.
Yeah. It is on every dad rock compilation. It is on Grand Theft Auto Vice City, if you're into that.
Oh, yeah.
Guitar Hero 3. And it is and for ice hockey fans like myself, it's on the NHL 2010 soundtrack.
There you go. It's one of those songs that's...
And literally, like, just the list of games it's in just goes on and on.
Because it's going to get you pumped. It makes you want to do anything.
Fucking every sporting event I've been to has played this song. Every sporting event I've been to has played this song.
That's why we chose it, not just for the cool pun, because it gets us amped every time we hear it.
It gets me in the zone straight away. Anyway, moving on. Song number 2. God of Thunder by Kiss.
Now,
Great song. Underrated Kiss song.
It is underrated. I'm not really a fan of Gene Simmons' sung Kiss songs.
Yep.
This is one of the ones everyone argues to me, though. They're like, oh, what about this? Yeah.
But, well, that's the thing, like... So this was released in March 1976 on Destroyer, obviously one of Kiss's biggest albums. Sung by Gene Simmons, as you said, became his official theme song, more or less, for the band. So, like, every live performance, so you've probably seen those photos of him and the videos of him, like, spitting all the blood. It's probably from this song.
Yep.
Massive bass solo halfway through, and he usually plays most of the song, like, raised above the crowd in some description. And I actually didn't know this, but it was covered by one of my favourite bands, Death.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
It was on a Japanese bonus track. It was a Japanese bonus track for their 1991 album, Human.
Nice. There you go. I
actually haven't heard it, which is surprised. That struck me by surprise.
That's the thing about Kiss, though. Now they've sort of got the image of being like, oh, cheesy, old people like him. But the influence of Kiss on really heavy metal and on wrestling is huge.
Absolutely,
you can't
man.
play down Kiss.
Well, they were pretty... Obviously, well, they were more or less shock rock at one stage.
Definitely, as they were coming up before, you want to say they sold out or whatever.
Yeah.
With Kiss as well, I've heard Steve Austin talk about it on his podcast a few times. One of his favourite bands when he was young, he would try and sing along to him because his stepdad was a musician.
Yeah.
And he said he would put the headphones on and try and sing, and then he realised he was a terrible singer, so he gave up on music. But yeah. So no surprise that he's put Kiss on this album.
Here we go. I just did a quick search.
Oh, you found it?
This is the
Oh, the rip sped up a little bit, really
works. Oh, look, Death, I could listen to Death for as long as I live, but it's funny how this actually works as a death metal song.
Absolutely. Cut out the vocals. This is a really cool wrestling entrance.
Absolutely. Actually, if there is a instrumental version on the deluxe album on Spotify, it's the Wrestlers. Get on it! I want to hear this as an entrance song.
Someone take it.
Please, someone do it. Anyway, moving forward. An underrated metal band, in my opinion. Track number 3, Except Balls to the Wall. Sick riff.
Balls to the Wall and Rock You Like a Hurricane. They're two great phrases. They're two great choruses of the 80s. Very similar sort of like vibe to me.
Both German bands.
It's that German thing. I'm going to rock you like a hurricane and I'm going to go balls to the wall.
So this song, released from 1983, was the title track, lead single. Instantly became the band's signature tune, which you can see why. It actually appeared in an episode of Beavis and Butthead in 93, entitled Tornado, so if you want to rewatch that episode and try and pick this song. And it was featured in the 2008 film The Wrestler.
Oh, there you go. Perfect, because this is one of those songs that just feels like 80s wrestling.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? And it's, again, really cool, really, really cool entrance song.
You can just see Steve Austin like driving his pickup truck listening to this.
And I can't find it on Spotify, unfortunately, but Fozzy covered this, apparently.
That makes sense too.
I could hear Jericho singing this.
Yeah, he's around that.
Such a good riff, such a good song. So many underrated bands from like the 80s that weren't like your Motley Crues and your Def Leppards and your Motorheads and stuff like that. Moving forward, I'm going to pump through this. Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple. An interesting choice.
A little bit different, but again...
They were one of Stone Cold's favourite bands.
Makes sense.
They're a good band. So, this was the title track of their comeback album in 1984. But, wrestling fans will know this song was used as Shane Douglas and Dean Malenko's entrance song in ECW.
Really?
Yes, it was.
Interesting. So they both used it?
Because they tagged for a while, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
But it was definitely used as Shane Douglas's entrance song. I do remember watching some stuff and hearing it.
Wow, because I haven't seen much of the stuff. Like, I only remember what I'm watching on the network
And
now.
it's all
I
the
can't
dubbed
remember
stuff,
my old dodgy DVDs and videotapes.
But yeah, so it was used by in ECW. So apart from being on a Stone Cold Steve Austin metal soundtrack, a lot of these songs are linked to wrestling anyway, and you'll find out more a little bit later too.
I like this. This is good. Good entrance theme. Suits Shane Douglas.
Because he was very like brooding in any way. Bit of a dick too.
Yeah, kind of a dickish vibe.
Yeah.
Underrated Shane Douglas, especially in ECW.
So his run in ECW was really, really good.
On the network, they've got that countdown, like the top 50 incidents in ECW history.
Yeah.
I swear Shane Douglas is in like 25 of them. And you're like, how was he? Like, he never became a bigger
heel.
star.
He was such a dick heel, though. That's why I liked him.
His character was basically the game before Triple H became the game.
More or less. No, it was good.
In a good way. But yeah. Good stuff.
Great song. Great band. I feel, again, Deep Purple are one of those bands that, like, they have, like, 2 songs.
Highway Star and Smoke on the Water.
Oh, and Black Knight.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
Black Knight. Yeah.
But it's like, no, like, this song rules. Because you can tell they took a very, especially here, they take like, because it's like very Power Slave Iron Maiden. This is a year after that album was released. So they were going more like a proggy kind of vibe.
Not just the classic rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good riff for an entrance song.
Yeah, it's good. Moving on. Track number 5 from a band that I know you appreciate. And former guest, one of your best mates, Tamarch, he loves Dokken.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking the Chains.
I believe we played this on our last show when we were on the air.
Were you?
I don't know. I feel like we were always playing Dokken.
Great band. So, interesting fact about this song. So this was from their 1983 album of the same name. Peaked at number 32 on the Billboard Rock charts. It was their highest. It was like their biggest mainstream success. This song, one of their biggest mainstream successes. But it was actually originally released in 1981 exclusively to Europe.
Really?
And then it was later released as the band's first ever single in 1983 to the rest of the world.
Interesting. That's weird.
A 2-year gap.
Yeah.
The fact that this song was in the can for 2 years.
Interesting.
Really
it's a damn
interesting.
good song. Like, it's a great, catchy, perfect 80s metal song. Again, they're all perfect 80s metal songs. Like, it feels like it's Stone Cold. That's what his vibe was.
Plus, George Lynch is a machine.
Oh, it's great. Very talented. And also, don't picture Stone Cold listening to this. Picture stunning Steve Austin.
I feel like, this is very like Hollywood Blondes.
Yeah.
Him and Pillman just rocking out with their gloriously long hair.
That's it, exactly. This is Austin before he went bald.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, don't picture cut off denim shorts. Picture the long blonde hair.
Yeah.
You know, some sequins tights. He'd be rocking this. He'd be wearing like big, like those Oakley sunnies too, I reckon.
Have you seen the film clips of this song?
No.
They're chained up in like a cellar.
Oh, yes.
And then like George Lynch breaks free just in time for the guitar solo. It's so good.
Oh, that amps you up.
Oh man, so good.
Just think though, this compilation album came out in the late 90s.
98,
when this type of metal wasn't
dead.
in fashion.
It was fucking dead. It was dead for like, 7 years pretty much?
Yeah, I can imagine the producer telling Steve Austin like, yeah, maybe we'll put like this new band Korn on it. And he's like, no, man. Give me some Dokken. That's the Stone Cold metal.
Now, this next song is I'd never heard of this band before. This song is called Dreams I'll Never See by a band called Molly Hatchet.
I've heard of Molly Hatchet. Couldn't tell you dick about them.
Oh, well, they're a Florida-based southern rock band.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's a pretty cool song.
Wasn't expecting those vocals.
So I couldn't actually find too much out about this band.
Interesting.
This album was released this was off an album. This was off the album. Good lord. It was off a self-titled album from 1978. It was actually peaked at number 64 on the Billboard Hot 200.
Okay.
It was actually written by Greg Allman from the Allman Brothers Band. This song.
Oh, just the song.
Just the song, yeah. And you can kind of hear an Allman Brothers Band vibe to it.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Oh, what's happening here?
Bit of progginess going on.
This is what people imagine Stone Cold listens
Like
to.
a bit of like southern rock kind of stuff. I don't mind. I listened to it a few times on the way here, and it's a pretty cool song. If you have 7.5 minutes to spare, my friends.
Oh damn! Is that how long?
It's a 7.5 minute song.
I don't need 7.5 minutes of it.
No, it's a pretty cool song though. Hey, if we may as well go a bit longer because the next song on the album is a song that I love, "Stranglehold" by Ted Nugent.
Yeah, I feel like these two songs are what people imagine Stone Cold listens
8.5
to.
minutes
Ted Nugent.
of mid-paced rock and roll.
Oh, another dude who loves shooting things.
Yeah,
Not as crazy as Stone Cold, I don't think.
He's a bit of a whack job, isn't he?
Yeah, very talented musician though. Like, if you only know Ted Nugent as like that crazy redneck who says offensive shit, Ted Nugent, is really good guitarist. And
well, this song
musician.
was ranked by Guitar World magazine as the 31st greatest guitar solo of all time.
There you go. Let's skip to that part of it then. We don't need to hear.
I think
this
it goes
shit.
for about 4 minutes anyway, so there's a good chance that I'm just going to skip right into it. Awesome. Told you. How good's the bass, like, underneath it?
Going with it, yeah.
Fun fact, I played this song with a bunch of mates of mine for their Year 12 music exam. And I was just like grooving around the bass, playing the same thing for 8 minutes.
Oh, it's a great song. Yeah, if you can put aside whatever you think of Ted Nugent politically, listen to the music.
But it is quite funny, as you said. Like, obviously, this album was targeted to late 90s WWF fans, which were like long shorts, caps backwards, like beer, like all chugging beers and energy drinks and shit, and like with your new metal and your like punk rock and hardcore, have some like prog rock. It's like, yeah, whatever. That goes for like 8 minutes.
Could you imagine being a college dude and you're like, oh, I love Stone Cold. I'm going to get Stone Cold metal. You take it back and you listen to this shit. And people are like, what the hell?
See, I appreciate the fuck out of this. This is so good.
But definitely not Attitude Era
Oh,
WWE.
God. Well, see, the thing is, this song was released 23 years before this album. This was 1975, this song.
This is Stone Cold as a teenager's metal.
Yeah, it really is.
This isn't Stone Cold at his peak of wrestling
Or
metal.
his fans' metal. No.
Not at all.
But hey, I'm not dissing it. I love this song. Anyway, moving on.
It's all the better for it, though.
Yep.
Because could you imagine he did pick late? Let's say it had Stained and Korn
And
and Limp
Deftones.
Bizkit and Deftones and Puddle of Mud. It would have dated horribly.
As I said before, and you're gonna find out in like the last like half of this album. Honestly, I'm not bullshitting. I think this is the best compilation I've seen.
So it just gets better.
It just keeps getting better, as demonstrated by this song.
Oh, shit.
Motherfucker!
If we have to tell you what this song is and you're listening to a rock show.
Detroit Rock City by Kiss.
So good.
He's just gone all out. And funnily enough, and I will say, because they are on, I won't say what song, but on all the facts I've read about this album, this was the first compilation album of any kind to feature Kiss and Def Leppard.
That's insane.
Obviously it shows how much pull WWF had and how much licensing money they can afford, but that's fucking huge. Obviously compilations were coming out because that obviously late 90s, that's like 20 years since a lot of that music came out.
Yeah.
But
before you kids were just, send me a playlist. Compilation albums and greatest hits were all you got if you wanted variety.
Yeah.
And the fact that Kiss were never on one for 20 years.
Yeah. And the first one they were on was a WWF one. It was WWF like partnership one. It was fucking huge.
That's how big of a star Stone Cold was. People don't realize he was so big. Putting his face on it made Gene Simmons say, yes, put us on a compilation.
And Def Leppard too. Def Leppard, who not even 2 months ago, finally put all of their music online on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora. None of their entire, there was like maybe one or two greatest hits albums, but with Def Leppard, they just put their entire discography, including demos, EPs, online for the first time ever.
That's huge.
And for them to have, like, an album released 20 years ago. Insane. Anyway, a few facts about this song. Obviously, this was also from Destroyer. Do you know what the B-side to this single was?
Black Diamond? No, I
Beth.
don't know. Oh, it was Beth.
So,
there you go.
B-side was another huge song for Kiss.
Right.
Beth was a huge song for Kiss.
Beth was massive.
It was produced and co-written by Bob Ezrin. Surely you know that. Bob Ezrin's done fucking everything. Worked with Lou Reed, Alice Cooper, Deep Purple, Peter Gabriel, Deftones, and 30 Seconds to Mars. Huge.
Just killed it. One of those just super fucking producer guys.
And songwriter too. He actually co-wrote this song. So...
Oh, it's such a good song. Such a... Like... Especially this part of it.
The guitar harmonies.
Yeah, it's not a traditional, like, guitar part. It's so, like, as in it's so simple. But that's all Kiss needed to do. And then...
This is... It's funny because they say this is one of Kiss's biggest songs. But you don't hear... in Australia, you don't... I've never heard this on the radio in Australia, ever. Apart from maybe your show or a couple, like... smaller like community shows. Mainstream radio, I've never heard this on mainstream radio.
It deserves to be played more. Detroit Rock City is one of the best hard rock songs of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of the best in hard rock, the next song, Rainbow in the Dark by Dio.
It's legitimately all-time great. Steve Austin knows his shit.
Like, you've got arguably the greatest singer in heavy metal fucking history. The King, Ronnie James Dio. Literally, in my notes, I've just written, what a fucking tune. This was from the legendary Holy Diver album from 1983.
His first solo album?
Yeah,
first Dio album.
He left Rainbow and then he makes this album.
It's like, look, it's going to be slightly different, but it's going to be the best.
This album still holds up.
It sounds perfect still.
And this album's like, what, fucking 33 years old?
Yeah.
So 35 years old. Jesus, my mouth's terrible today.
Like, this song as well, it's kind of cheesy, but it straddles that line perfect because it's technically brilliant too.
That synth line is so good. Due to its hugely popular music video, it reached number 12 on the Billboard rock charts.
Massive.
And this was still like metal.
It is metal.
Dio was like one that wore pentagrams and all that kind. Like, he was very much into like the devil worship and shit. So
you got Dio.
For him to go mainstream was huge.
You got Dio and Gene Simmons on this album with their bloody, devil horn debate. Either one, but still to have that shit, yeah.
And but yeah, as you said, it shows the pool that even the WWF, but Stone Cold had you got some of the biggest names in metal on one record.
All time greats. This is one of if this wasn't called Stone Cold Metal and it was called
Greatest Metal of All Time, I still fucking believe
you'd be like, oh, this is a pretty spot on list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
I've heard Steve Austin talk about Dio though. He legitimately, he was a huge fan. So
really
cool.
Who isn't?
No, exactly.
Next song, we're moving in. Oh fuck! I
wanted to hear a bit of that.
So good. Moving into the last half of the album. We got the second song of Scorpions. Underrated Scorpions song. No One Like You. Now this song is from their 8th studio album, from Blackout. So it was the year before of their huge album, Love at First Sting. So this is from 1982. Man, what a tune! Peaked at number 65 on the Hot 100 in America.
Pretty good.
The video was shot in Alcatraz, and it features the singer Klaus Meine receiving capital punishment during the video, which was pretty graphic, pretty confronting for early 80s.
Pretty full on.
Man,
Scorpions didn't fuck around. That intro to the song, that guitar
so
part,
epic.
So epic, and it takes me back to playing it on one of the Guitar Heroes and just wanting to play it over and over. Just that intro, because it's so damn fun.
It's such a cool song.
I'm always confused with who the guitarists are for the Scorpions at different times.
Because they've been through like 620 members.
And there's a couple different ones who are iconic, but whoever played the stuff at this time, it's amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
And it influenced what would become, the more modern metal sound years later anyway. So, man, it's good stuff.
And Steve, in an interview with Metal Hammer, Steve Austin is being quoted in saying that Blackout, this album, is his favourite workout album.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So he likes a inspirational pump at the gym.
Yeah.
Doesn't need it to be too dark or heavy. He wants it to be really, really good.
Want some cool riffs, some good mid-tempo stuff.
It's so good. Well, there you go. You know what? We should try and do that. Everyone should go to the gym and listen to the
I'll do it tomorrow morning. I will report back to you, friends.
The Steve Austin workout. Oh, it's such a good song.
Great song. It's one of those songs where, I feel like Scorpions had this thing where they went from, really cool, really low choruses, very not heaps in it, and then when the chorus kicks in, it's just fucking bang! It comes at you like a freight train,
just anthemic
right now.
Yeah, here we go.
Bang! Awesome! What a band! Underrated band.
I love that they crossed over even with his German accent when he sings.
And
he
then,
doesn't lose the accent when he sings.
No, he doesn't. And then it's so funny. This is pretty metal. It's a pretty hard rock song.
Yeah.
But their biggest song was one of the greatest ballads of all time, being "Winds of Change."
Yeah.
And there was no hint of any distortion guitar in that at all.
No, it's just straight
It's
up
a straight up ballad.
Can I say I don't like Winds of Change?
It's overplayed. If you listen to Gold 104 in Melbourne, they fucking froth it.
I imagine classic rock stations all around the world just drill that song.
Yeah.
This is what we'd want to hear. Yeah.
So good.
So good.
We've got 4 tracks left. This one is interesting because I feel like a lot of people know this from Guitar Hero as well. Slow Ride by Foghat.
Oh, yeah. This is one of those songs. You hear it on the radio. You hear it in movies.
It's in a lot of stuff.
Again, this is what you picture Stone Cold listening to. Again, though, if you're telling people to suck it at a WWF show in 1990,
you don't expect to hear stuff from the early 70s?
This is what your dad was listening to, Maybe Stone Cold was smart. He was like, well, it's all the dudes in the crowd who are older who have money.
Yeah.
I'm going to target them.
I'm going to target there. Yeah, exactly. It's a smart choice. So this was the lead single from their 5th album, Fall for the City, released in 1975. There are supposedly 5 different versions of this song that circulate.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
There's an extended version, a version that fades out, a version that doesn't fade out.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of different live versions that were released as singles, so technically they are different versions.
Which version is this? Do we know?
This is the original.
Okay.
This was the original the original album edit.
Do you reckon this
And there's a radio edit too.
Is this Steve Austin's favourite version?
You want to think so.
Oh,
you want to hope so. Really cool song. And it charted at number 20 in the Billboard Top 200.
Damn.
Which, when you think about it, in the early to mid 70s, rock, this type of rock still wasn't a thing. Obviously the 70s was disco as fuck. And there was still a lot of that folk stuff, like Dylan, Bob Dylan was still huge in that time.
Yep.
So for this to to get to the top 20 was pretty cool.
Nothing like this would ever chart now.
Oh, fuck no. Gee, fuck no. No way. But, that's the thing. All these songs were popular in their own time.
Yeah. We're not saying that Stone Cold had, weird underground metal taste.
Yeah.
These were the bands he grew up with. They were all huge.
But then you look at it nowadays, we us and obviously, our fans who listen to metal, that isn't mainstream anymore.
No.
You won't hear that on the Loop, on channel, or anything on on Saturday morning TV.
No.
You won't hear that kind of stuff.
Let's say Roman Reigns put out a metal compilation. The equivalent of this wouldn't exist. Who are the hugest bands now? Even if you pick the biggest metal bands of today, they're not mainstream like these bands were.
No. The closest
Shame.
would be Disturbed or something, or someone like that. Or a Stone Sour.
Oh, that could make sense, though. This came out in the 90s, and Stone Cold picked 70s and 80s bands that he grew up with. So if Roman Reigns put out Roman Reigns Metal, and it was all late 90s bands...
I'd be fucking down with that.
Imagine
That'd be
that.
dope.
It was just all his 90s bands.
Well, maybe we should get
20 years ago.
Maybe Fandango should do one. So you would have heard on our talk with Fandango, he was into the late 90s, early 2000s metal.
It's true. He's the dude who could do it.
Deftones, Killswitch Engage, Lamb of God. Shit like that. Rage Against the Machine.
You're right. He is that guy.
We need Sevenfold.
Fandango metal. Make the compilation happen.
It wouldn't fit his character anyway or whatsoever, but we want it, so it needs to happen.
Yeah.
3 songs left. This is an interesting choice, this next song. And as I said they were on it. Def Leppard. On Through the Night. Not a big Def Leppard song.
What album's this from, though?
This is off High and Dry, so it was off the one before Pyromania.
So this is when Def Leppard were good.
This is when they were like reaching the stratosphere. They were on the climb.
If you only know Def Leppard from Pour Some Sugar on Me, go back and listen to their first few albums. They didn't sound like that. They weren't a shit poppy band. They were basically AC/DC, but a slight bit more polished. They're really good.
I get it. I'm Stadium Rock Def Leppard's my fucking shit.
See, I like rock.
See, my favorite Def Leppard album is Adrenalize from '91.
Oh,
nah, man. Let's Get Rocked is a fucking tune. And Heaven, man, that song is. But you know.
But listen to this.
It doesn't sound anything like Joe Elliott. Doesn't sound anything like Joe Elliott from '87.
Nah, he's like full rocking out. And what was the guitarist's name? The one who passed away, who played on these albums.
This was the last album featuring him as well, and I need to try and remember who it was. I'm so sorry. Give me a couple minutes and I will
play the music while you look it up.
Great song.
But they were more of a straight ahead, pub rock band for the time. Great guitar solos, great
riffs. They were.
Again, Stone Cold just rocking it with his long hair.
Pete Willis. Pete Willis was his last full-time album with Def Leppard.
Is it? Oh, that doesn't.
He left the band.
Who was the dude who died, though? That's the one I'm thinking.
Steve Clark, he died in 91.
Steve Clark, yes. So again, obviously he still played with them a little bit later.
Yep.
But he's playing...
Well, he played all the way through their big albums.
Yeah, but he's playing especially on some of this older stuff as well.
Yep.
Man, it's so good.
This part here is really cool.
They were, a really different band. Anyway.
Great band.
Def Leppard.
Underrated song. Now, next song is one of my, legitimately one of my favorite bands. I went and saw them in 2013.
Is this the last song?
2 songs left.
Okay.
Rain by The Cult. So I saw them in 2013. I was honestly the youngest person there because it was 2 weeks after my 18th birthday. It was an 18 plus show. I was very out of place, but they were fucking sick. But this is off the album Love, which featured their biggest song, She Sells Sanctuary. So this is from 1985.
People might know this riff. It's pretty iconic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Being copied or used in a lot of movies. The Cult is a band that I've always sort of liked the big songs, but didn't start listening to properly till a couple of years ago.
Brilliant band. Billy Duffy's one of the most underrated guitarists in my opinion.
And Ian Astbury is fucking amazing singer. What a great vocalist.
Such a dick though. I love him. He's one of my favorite. He's just a very much a. So when I saw them, he actually told the crowd off for not doing anything.
He doesn't do anything though.
This is going to sound like a really strange thing to be good at. He's the best tambourine player I've ever fucking seen in my life. The tricks he does with the tambourine is amazing. The guy's a machine. He can throw it up 20 feet in the air, catch it on his arm, but still keep the beat. He has a little lapel mic in his his cuff of his shirt so you can hear him play it.
Okay, I stand corrected then.
Anyway, it's really interesting. But this kind of shows how much of a dick he kind of is. So, at a performance, they played this song at one of their big concerts in Wembley in 1989. I'm pretty sure that there's a bootleg of this, a CD of this somewhere. And they played this, crowd went fucking mental for it. And at the end of the song, he was like, "So you like that one? Personally, I don't."
What? He doesn't like
this song, and they haven't played it much since.
It's one of their signature songs.
Off one of their biggest albums.
Those big albums of the Cult are really worth listening to. They're very, very
Listen
good.
to Electric. Like when I saw them, it was the 25 years of Electric. Fuck, man, what a tour.
I've heard Steve Austin talk about the Cult, and to him, he thinks they didn't have as big of a run as they should have. I love that he puts it in wrestling.
In a wrestling term. I guess it's true though, because they were only really big for about 5 to 6 years in the 80s.
Yeah, but they sound like they should have been this huge band.
This is before its time.
Yeah, exactly. You hear this, you're like, oh, was this early 90s type stuff? No.
Yeah.
Before that.
Because the production on this album is really tight too. It's really polished. Like for 85, not a lot of the stuff was this polished. Apart from obviously the bands with the big wallets, but like
that's what I mean. Like this sounds like it would have been, really.
Yeah. To anyone, listen to this album. Start like just sit down, like if you're on the way to work, driving on a train or something, or even just like at home. Shut this album on from start to finish. And it is one of my favorite albums from start to finish.
It's a proper album.
Yeah. Because everything like kind of goes into it. It isn't continuous, but every song, once that song stops, the next one kind of picks up from where it's.
Everything's put in an order for a reason. You know, there's thought into it.
That's why I don't think bands do enough these days is order albums properly.
Yeah. Makes a difference.
A huge difference.
I know people consume music different now. You know, they just want to hear a song on Spotify or watch a music video. But hey, the art of the album shouldn't be lost.
Yeah. Anyway.
Good song. I just want to say I fucking like this shit.
Such a good song.
Yeah.
Stone Cold, you have such great music taste.
Kind of funny though if you're like, he's about to like drive to Raw and fill Vince McMahon's car with cement, and like this is what it's.
It's really funny though because you see Stone Cold as this big fucking shaved head. We'll beat the shit out of you. But if you see Ian Asprey from this time, he's he looked like a chick. And no, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like he lipstick, the long hair, the braids, the pearls, eyelash extensions. He was incredibly feminine, but he had an incredible voice. But you wouldn't really put him and Steve Austin in the same sentence.
Stone Cold is not the guy you picture like being like cool.
A cult fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, moving on. The last song on the album, funnily enough, is called Stone Cold by Rainbow. But this is 1982 Rainbow.
Oh, okay. Who was singing with Rainbow at the time?
Honestly, one of my favourite singers, Jolene Turner. So Jolene Turner, for people he may know, actually at the time, it was in between. So he sang for Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
So he sang on Malmsteen's first album in the late 70s, and then he sang on his one in the mid 80s. So maybe like 2 or 3 years after this one. He sang on Odyssey.
Okay.
And then he sang on Rising Force, which was Malmsteen's first album.
That's the one I know.
And then Odyssey was the one with like Heaven Tonight, Crystal Ball, Deja Vu. That was like 86, 87. He came back and sang on that one.
What a team though. One of the great vocalists underrated, and then one of the greatest guitarists of all time.
And yeah, Jolene Turner sang for Deep Purple too, don't forget that.
Yeah, he was the shit.
But yeah, so this song called Stone Cold. It was from 1982, oversaid. Jolene Turner on vocals. Fuck, such a good voice.
Stone Cold was like a proper rock fan. Like he appreciated good shit.
And this like deep cut rock as well. Like Rainbow, went. Well, that's funny because people don't think Rainbow were big after Dio left. This album that this was from, the album was Straight Between the Eyes. The album charted number 5 in England and 30 in America.
It was a different time.
But that's the thing, like people thought like Rainbow died once Dio left. They fucking went. Well, also, they had a string of really good singers too, Rainbow.
Well, I feel like the Rainbow Deep Purple list of singers, that sort of whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty wild.
Damn good.
But
what a nice way to end the album.
It's really calm, isn't it? It's so nice. So the vocalist between Dio and Jolene Turner was Graham Bonnet from Alcatraz, Michael Schenker Group.
Yep.
So like, you got some like really like massive singers in that who sang for Rainbow, but they weren't as big as they should have been, really.
No. But one of those bands that has lasting impact, though.
Absolutely.
People who dig this kind of stuff. everyone's still listening to Rainbow.
I do constantly.
Hey, Stone Cold, good tasting music.
Yeah, and like in this if you're interested, like go on to you'll find there's a Metal Hammer interview did ages ago. Quite obviously, Kiss feature like Destroyer is one of his favorite albums of all time, but also he says here that Dress to Kill is one of Stone Cold's favorite albums of all time.
So he loves Kiss.
Yeah,
a lot.
That's got Love Gun on it too. Another one of his favorite bands is Saxon, which is like completely out of left field.
Yeah,
when it comes to like the new wave of British heavy metal.
It's like one of Lars Ulrich's favorite bands.
Motley Crue, as well as Judas Priest. You got Another Thing Coming. Great song.
Can you imagine there was disc 2 of Stone Cold Metal? It would have Motley Crue, Judas Priest, Saxon, like it'd go off.
I would absolutely buy that and listen to it for the rest of my life.
Oh, guy's got good taste.
Anyway.
So, there we go. Wrapping up Stone Cold Metal. Is this one of the greatest heavy metal compilations you can find? Or not heavy metal, like metal, hard rock, classic rock. So good.
Let us know. Let us know when we post this in the comments and we'll have a chat about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to go through Stone Cold Metal.
Had some really well, I wouldn't say strange, but like left field bands, I would say.
Yeah, you can tell this wasn't put together
by some random or just by the company at the time to go on trends. These felt like legitimately could picture a young Steve Austin listening to all this shit and loving it. And yeah, the interview from Metal Hammer, what he said on his podcast through the years. Yeah.
These are all legit. This is a legit
like pick and choose from Steve Austin.
And it's so good. We can confirm that, you know, he might be the greatest of all time. Greatest taste in classic metal of all time.
Oh, absolutely. The guy's got some like, and as I said, like there's some real deep cuts, like old school, like new school Deep Purple, Doc N, Accept, like so good. Like there, I honestly, as I said a couple of times during the episode, probably the best metal compilation I think I've heard.
On Amazon, it's sitting at 4.5 stars from customer reviews.
So good.
Can't go wrong with it.
Absolutely awesome.
We're going to have to get Steve Austin on the show one day to talk about
and then we'd end the show because there's no way we can get bigger than that.
I know. We've thought that before, but hey, let's keep aiming.
Absolutely. Aim for the stars, baby.
Yeah, if anyone knows Steve Austin,
hook us up.
Tell him we're looking for him.
Yeah.
On that note, go check out that album. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter. We're trying to build the Twitter now. Facebook's starting to go all right. So
Facebook is cruising on nicely, but Twitter. So we are on the Twitter at RYLAH Podcast. So capital RYLAH Podcast.
Yeah.
And we post I when I'm watching wrestling, I will live tweet shows there. We can talk about wrestling. We can talk about metal. We share some like music on there as well.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, just search for it. Rock You Like a Hurricane Runner. It's going to come up on your Twitter. Like us on Facebook. We're going to be doing some more stuff there. There's videos. If you haven't seen the videos from our WrestleMania chats.
We're pumping out some video content, which is cool. Also, just so we can start getting a bit more of... We're doing well with our numbers, but if you want to pump us out even more, rate us and review us on iTunes or whatever podcast provider you listen to, because with the more... How they work it, the more reviews and star ratings we get, the more it gets pushed up the charts on the iTunes and the more people will find it. So
yeah, that's it. Tell your friends about it.
Exactly.
Do they like metal?
Tell your mum.
Yeah. Does she like metal?
Does she like metal? Roman Reigns likes most of our mothers and our female relatives, so he could like your mother as well.
Exactly. If anyone you know likes wrestling or metal and wants to listen to a show without a set format every week that covers either or, depending on the week,
give us a shout out.
Tell them this is a show for them. Anyway, we'll catch you later.
When we rock you like a hurricane runner.